So we covered all of the basics. It's time to now see how to actually use color for UI design. So to be able to follow along all of the future lessons, I do want to walk you through quickly through how we interact and modify color inside of Figma. So you might have seen me use it already in some of the previous videos, but in here I just want to give a brief overview of whatever you need to think about when you're working with color in Figma. So as you can see in here, any kind of layer or frame, any kind of object that you have inside of Figma that's going to be considered a layer could have a fill assigned to it. And you can add and remove multiple fills if you want to. So if I don't want this fill in here, I'll just grab this hex for a second. And you can always copy hex codes by clicking on this input field in here, Command C or Control C on Windows, to copy it if you need it for later, and you can remove it. So you can see in here, the rectangle still exists as a layer, but there is no fill to it. And I can either hit plus to add a fill and then change the hex in here, or well, since I didn't copy it as a style, I can do it in here. I'll show you later what I meant, so sorry about it. But basically, what I meant is I could go in here, cut out this fill, and then select this layer or any other layer and use Command V to paste that fill as well. So just a little trick for when you're copying things like fills or styles in here. You can do that quickly by just hitting this little area on the left side. It's gonna turn the fill line in here a little bit bluer to know that it's selected, so you can either copy it or you can cut it and then paste it in place on another layer. Okay, so in here we have all of the settings connected to color. I'm gonna touch upon fill styles as well, just because they're so related to color, because in Figma, color and fill styles are just a part of like fill styles. Another thing to keep in mind is the layer opacity, because it also impacts how we perceive color. So you can see it in here under layer. You have all of the different blending modes that affect how the color interacts with the layers below it. And you have the opacity setting in here. You can make the layer invisible by hitting this little icon in here. So when we actually hit on the fill selector, you're gonna have options in here that are gonna be related to solid color fill, linear gradient fill, radial gradient fill, angular diamond gradient fills, image fill. So basically this layer is going to be filled with an image, and the video fill, which again means that you're going to see a video in there. Those are all of the things. In here you can see me work with the color fill, solid color fill. All of the other settings we already went through. One other thing that's important, you can use the color picker to pick any color from anywhere. And you can also change the opacity in here. So how transparent or not transparent the fill is. And you can do so in here as well. So you don't even have to enter like this main part of the color picker. You can just do it in here. In here, you're going to have different ways to view that color. So you can use hex codes, which you can already see in here. You can switch it to RGB, red, green, blue, opacity, CSS, HSL, hue, saturation, lightness, or the one that we're mostly going to use for design, and it's my default go-to, hue, saturation, brightness, so HSB. And again, opacity is going to be in here. All the colors that you have in your document are going to be visible in here. So you have those. And if you have any local colors, which means that those are the colors that you have as like basically like a little style guide or a design system that you're using, those are going to appear in there. So document colors all are going to be in here. One other thing about the fill styles is that we can create and remove styles that we're going to be reusing. I'm going to show you that in just a moment. I just want to show you all the different types of fills that I already kind of listed, but in here, if you have like a linear gradient fill, you can drag the start and end points of this linear fill to get different effects that you want on your layers. You can also have a color fill, an image fill, sorry. And again, I'm not going to dive in too deep into that. If you want to learn more about how to work with layers and everything else, our Figma advanced course covers that in a lot of hours of material, so I don't want to kind of repeat myself, especially for all of the people who got more of our courses. So yeah, in here, the important thing about image fill, just to know that you can kind of switch it between different options in here, and you can kind of crop the photo in a place where you want to. But you can also use a color fill above it and kind of add a transparent or not transparent overlay like this one. And if you're using fills like this, you don't have to use blending modes just on that layer level. You can use it on any fill level. So on any of these that you hit on, there is this little drop icon that you can use to change the blending modes of the layer above it. So you can get some nice effect just by doing that. Okay, in here, you can see that I actually used multiple fills on this layer. One of them is a solid fill color, and the other one is a subtle gradient effect that's opaque, and it's set at 20%. Again, in here, this black is set to 100%, but the entire fill is set to 20%, so that's why it's kind of really not as noticeable. If you put it to 100%, you can really see the difference. But it gives you kind of a more control over what each fill is gonna look and work like. So you can use this opacity versus using these ones in here. They can be kind of cumbersome to change later on. And you can have each point have different opacities to create all of the different effects. Color in Figma is also used on strokes. Again, not just color, any kind of linear fill, gradient fill, image fill, all of those things work as well, but most likely you're going to use it for strokes. So I just want to let you know that the same things apply in here, and you can add multiple of those as well. You can't add different ones with different positioning and also size, so it's all going to apply to the same one. If you want to achieve that effect, I would suggest like maybe creating like a frame that contains this rectangle or whatever you have, and then kind of applying one stroke to the inner element and one stroke to the main frame or like parent element, but that's it. And finally, what I really want to touch upon is thinking about opacities. You can use opacity on the layer level or on the fill level. If you use them on both, they're going to kind of combine. So 50% of 50% is going to be 25%. So this is going to look like this is going to look the same as this would at 25%, or if we put this one at 100% and the layer one at 25%, it's again the same effect. So just keep that in mind. You can create some really nice things if you're really thinking about opacities in the right way. And so one example where it might be useful to use the opacity on the layer level is like if everything needs to be affected. If just like one part of it needs to be affected, it might be better to use it on particular elements. So for example, in here, we could have like supercharge design masterclass. And let's say that you really want to make supercharge design noticeable. You can go in here, change the fill level to 50, and then this entire layer still has the opacity of 100, but you can see in here under selection colors that there are actually two fills used inside of this textual layer. One of them is set to 100 and one of them is set to 50. And it can really allow you to do different things, like just changing this one to red or something like really quickly anywhere you are on the text. So could be helpful for a lot of different reasons. I just want to show you that it's a possibility and that you can use it, and you don't have to like have this masterclass as a completely different layer. especially it's kind of useful for links inside of long blobs of text, or like if you have a paragraph and you want to just bold a couple of words and maybe make those words even stand out a little bit more to make them darker or more prominent, you can do so by doing this instead of trying to find a different way to do it. So those are the fills and everything that you need to know about using color in Figma. But as you can see in most of our design files, we already have some color styles that we're reusing. So I'm going to show you how to create those as well. Let's just take this, go to the fill section. You're going to find these 4 dots. And if you hover over them, they're going to say style. So if you click on that, you can see that there are already some styles pre-made, but I'm going to show you how to create a new one. So basically you're going to hit this. You're gonna hit the plus icon inside of that, and now you have the ability to name this style. So we're gonna call it demo blue. I added the little slash because that kind of groups it in a folder, but it's only gonna happen in Figma if you have multiple of the same main folder one. So right now it's just gonna be demo/blue, but if we add another field later on and use demo/something else, it's going to group those 2 styles in a folder, and when you expand that folder you can kind of navigate through it easily that way. So it's only used for organization. In description you can write down anything that's going to help another designer or you in the future reference what you meant by creating a style out of this. For now I'm going to leave it blank, but you can enter whatever you want to inside of it. Or I'll just add like supercharged design so I can show you how that works. You have also some more options in here if you want to impact what a fill is. So basically it takes what's inside in here, but this allows you to add more things into it, and you can create that style. So in here you can see that there is this demo folder blue. Let me show you a different one. So one thing that you can do with styles is you can actually detach them if you need to make some adjustments. Again, the point of style is to be consistent in Figma as you're using things. So I don't recommend detaching it a lot of times, but if you're ever going to be required to do so, you can do it by just doing this. And this again allows you to work with a fill, with the opacity and everything else. As you can see in here, the only thing that I was able to do is to switch it to another fill. So if I go in here and detach it, I now have the full control over everything in here. And I'm just going to create a lighter shade of this blue like this. And I'm going to call it demo light blue. And now we have demo folder with blue and light blue. And if we go in here, we can switch them around. If you click anywhere outside, so you don't have any layer selected in here, the styles are going to appear for both colors and text, and you can actually adjust them by clicking this icon in here and change the color everywhere you want to. Now one thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to apply the fill that we have created to another layer in here, just to show you what happens if I do that. So the blue fill is now in here and here. It's not in here even though it's the same color, because in here it's not applied as a style. This is just like using the same hex code. So you can see me go in here and actually tap on this, and I'm adjusting the color and it's changing in both areas. So that's what styles are for. Like think of a design where you have something like your primary blue color that you're going to use on all of the buttons, on all of the links, on some of the icons, like everything that's interactive, you're going to use that color for. And then the whole company rebrands and changes that blue from like pastel light blue to more of a like cyan one. And you would have to go in every single screen, in every single element where you use the color, and kind of manually switch it to this new one. With styles, you can basically just do it with a single click and it's gonna still work. So if we switch it to the cyan one, you can see that it's working, and that's what styles are for. So we learned about what colors are, what type of fills we have inside of Figma. We learned about opacities and how you can use it in different places. We touched upon blending modes. We also learned a little bit about how to create styles, how to manage them with folders, how to edit them, how to detach them. So basically that's everything that you need to know when you're working with color in Figma. I don't recall anything else that I wanted to really show you with this video, but hopefully you're now feeling confident that you can follow along really easily in Figma and kind of create all of the styles that we're going to do and create all of the color work that we're going to do from now on. Cool. Okay, that's it for this video. See you in the next lesson.